Now we are shifting focus to the monsoons. The kind of weather conditions that we have has led to 5 lakh people getting displaced in the state of Assam. Flash floods, also landslides in Himachal. Those have led to huge traffic jams. Tourists have been stuck on that highway between Chandigarh and Manali for several hours, we understand. Then there is Rajasthan. Rajasthan's Sri Ganganagar has seen severe waterlogging. Also Maharashtra's Bhiwandi. Worse, a young woman got electrocuted, and this happened at the Delhi railway station. Until 2 weeks ago, that story was skyrocketing ticket prices. Also, the chances of a patchy monsoon. All of that seems to have changed. 1 weekend alone has made tourists rethink their holiday plans. So what's the monsoon going to be like this year? How can tourists keep themselves safe during landslides and these flash floods that are taking place? And also, which are the safest destinations for travelers during the monsoon? Let's discuss this. But first, let's just understand what's going across the entire nation right now with the monsoons and the status of the monsoons and the heaviness of the monsoons as we go through these climate change conditions. Here's the report.
हम इस वक्त मंडी मनाली मार्ग पर हैं, जहां ये रास्ता कई जगह पर ब्लॉक हो गया लैंडस्लाइड के चलते। लेकिन जो स्थानीय लोग हैं जो फंसे हुए हैं कई घंटों से, उनको बीच बीच में काम रोक कर यहां से निकलवाया जा रहा है। जो यहां पर हिमाचल प्रदेश पुलिस है, अधिकारी हैं, वो यहां पर दोनों तरफ से पहले लोगों को इकट्ठा किया जाता है और करीब 1 से 2 घंटे बाद उनको यहां से गुजरने की अनुमति दी जाती है। अब देखिए दूसरी तरफ से लोग आ रहे हैं।
Emma, I'm from Scotland. So what happened here? I'm not sure. I think there's a landslide up ahead, but we haven't heard much information. We've been here since like 5 in the morning. We're just wandering around. We thought the traffic was moving, but it looks like it hasn't moved.
Let's break this down and what we can expect now with the holiday economy as far as the monsoons are concerned. It is going to be a season of upheaval. It always has been. But is it more pronounced right now? And how much more is it going to change the way that we travel and make our travel choices as well? G P Sharma is joining us. He's, of course, the president of Skymet. Himank Tripathy is also with us, an industry veteran for the travel industry, and he understands consumer tech very deeply. And the business head of hotels for Yatra.com, Rakesh Rana, here with us as well. Great to have you, gentlemen. You know, all these long weekends ahead of us. Sir, I want to ask you first, as far as Skymet's predictions are concerned, you know, these disruptions are expected. Even as we make our plans, there is the chance that a monsoon is going to play spoil sport. There is an Independence Day weekend. There is the Gandhi Jayanti weekend. There is the Eid weekend right this week as well. The monsoon conditions have changed very rapidly. So it's very difficult for holiday makers to kind of alter plans just as quickly. Do tell us what's in store, according to you, Mr. Sharma, keeping the weather conditions in mind. How does a holidaymaker plan in these times?
Vikram, onset of monsoon, any part of the country, the first burst of the monsoon announces its arrival in terms of intense weather conditions. And hills are no different. Hills, actually, the accentuation in the hills is much more than what is in the plains for obvious reasons. Orography plays its own role. Terrain is very different, okay? It happens every time. I think we have a tendency to forget also. Most of the time when the monsoon advances over the hilly areas, this type of a scene we frequently see. Monsoon is a scene changer. What is monsoon? Monsoon means when it has come, it displaces the earlier conditions, earlier air mass which was there, a fresh, moist air mass, it comes over the region, and the intensity of the weather that increases. And as I said, it is more for the mountains across Jammu, Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal, Uttarakhand, all 4 mountain states have rained in the past 24 hours heavily. I will say last 48 hours. The most rainiest state out of these is Uttarakhand, and I consider this state more fragile as well. So as and when this activity picks up, which has now, for the last 2 days, we saw what is there. It is the landslides at many places, not one place. And the other thing which comes up in the hills, obviously, is you see the water bodies which are there, they are all undue. That is a terrain is uneven. It is an undulating terrain. They keep responding even after the rainfall stops. Let me tell you. Okay, the rains will subside. It will take about 3 days time, but temporary break. I will say again, it will going to come up. Next 2 days, again, the activity is going to be intense for the state of Uttarakhand or Himachal also. We'll have a short break after that. But then the first few days of July, they are also promising similar scenes in case the tourists, they decide to venture into these parts. Okay, inclement weather condition, I will say from here on for about the next about week or 10 days, we must wait. Okay, advice is do not venture outside because obviously inclement weather conditions are expected over these parts. You talked about the monsoon. Obviously, so far it was so sleepy, sluggish, and slow that possibly we forgot also that we are into the monsoon month, onset month. It was a everywhere deficit. Other than that cyclone which brought other misery over Gujarat and Rajasthan, the otherwise rest of the portions they were deficit, highly deficit, 80, 85, 90% deficit. But the good thing which this spell has done, situation has marginally improved. These areas they needed the rains most.
Perhaps.
Okay. Yeah. So
But
that
not
is
with
what
so
it
much
is.
ferocity. Some holiday makers
Yeah.
would argue, and they've come on with such a turnaround that one would have been caught. As far as holiday plans are concerned, those would go for a toss. How do you think, Himank Tripathy, holiday makers and the industry are going to rise to the challenge when weather conditions change so dramatically? What have you seen in the past? How does the industry adapt, and how do holiday makers turn around their plans? In places like Manali, at this point in time, it would be a great time to be there, but look at what's happening. Even in the wake of these heavy monsoons, we are seeing landslides take place, and there is the need for stronger infrastructure, and there is always that fear that if it's happening right now, it could get worse in the future. How do you plan in that case?
I said, see, what I've noticed is you can't control the climate.
Correct.
Things are something that are not in your control. But what is in your control is the market understanding. Once you realize the kind of issues a customer or a traveler is going to face and suggest alternates for that. I personally would not recommend people to travel because at such climate, things will be little bad for people to manage everything. Forget your travel, the kind of logistics you have to figure out over there would be pretty bad for us. So as a person who has seen and watched the aviation and travel industry very closely, I think we rely on suggesting other alternates. And if you have plans to travel to hills, we don't want you to cancel it, but postpone it for some other time. Another factor that works is prices. Recently, the prices were skyrocketing. I think carriers should be little sensitive in that regards. I understand there is a competition we all need to figure out and try to hit the profit quotient. But if you focus on value add proposition for the customer, if you figure out alternate options for the passenger to travel, basis the need, basis the requirement, the kind of people who are traveling, I think travel agencies, carrier partners can manage the situation in a much, much better way. Another factor, last but not the least, is to share information. I was watching your show where someone, a tourist, mentioned that the person does not have any information. I think travel partners should have that mechanism to provide that set of information on a real-time basis. I think these are the things that will really help travel agency and the aviation sector to
Technology
manage
today
the
allows
situation.
that kind of passing of information, and very quickly at that. One should be forthcoming, and the industry needs to do its bit. Also, other travelers who are stuck in situations like this must do that human service and be able to provide that kind of information to fellow travelers. But you tell us, on the ground, Rakesh Rana, you head the business for hotels at yatra.com. Tell us about the status of bookings and the kind of cancellations that you're getting in the wake of these weather conditions that are getting reported in several parts of the country, which are not the most conducive to travel.
As of now, we have not seen any huge spike in the cancellations. And monsoon is pretty much a predictable season for hotel industry. and travel industries, and every year we have landslides or difficult weather conditions in some part or other part of the leisure destinations. But see, we have close to around 700 plus leisure destinations, right? And hills will be one part of it, right? So definitely, what is advisable is that plan well in advance, especially the number of days. Always keep a buffer day to meet any last minute challenges. Check weather forecast. Stay in touch with your hotel partner and travel partner, right? And also, probably what we advise our customers is that look for free cancellation bookings, avoid non-refundable bookings, right? If you, in case you are taking a road transport, then try reaching before sunset, and maybe you can also avoid the roads which are not taken generally on a normal day. Uh, our advice is that look for all season destinations, which probably can be, for example, Goa or Jaipur or Coimbatore or Cochin or Mysore and Udaipur in these cases. In case you still wish to travel for hill stations, then plan well in advance. As of now, in terms of cancellation trends, we are keeping an eye. We have not seen any spike as of now.
When you say plan well in advance, because if you're planning for the hills and you have to change those plans because the weather conditions, like right now, there are landslides, etc., you don't know whether things are going to clear out. So if you are going to go over the weekend that's coming up, then how much would advanced planning actually help? Mr. Rana, for you.
No, I'm carrying on. So what we have seen is normally in a hotel business, the last minute bookings normally constitute more than 60%, right? As compared to unlike air, where people would like to book well in advance. In hotel, last minute bookings are more than 60%. So the advice here is that probably avoid last minute bookings, plan well in advance, keep a weather forecast, and try to book with your hotel partner or travel partner in advance rather than looking for a walk-in reservations closer to the hills.
How much has the industry really become adaptive post-pandemic? Because those threw holiday plans out of gear as well. Now we are seeing weather conditions, and perhaps like many of you are pointing out, monsoon is the time where you can expect this kind of unraveling of plans, so to speak. So do tell us, in terms of the adaptiveness of the industry from consumer tech, as far as holiday plans are concerned, and consumers trying to kind of change plans, altering them in a way that will, keep them on firm ground despite weather conditions. How much of that have you seen in recent times? Himank?
Vikram, I'll tell you something really interesting. What I have noticed across platforms and across carriers, you know what they're doing right now? They try to give you a very smart alternate as a customer. If you plan something, say you're going to the hills and you're planning, say, a month in advance, things have changed, you try to refund and others. What they're doing is they're now suggesting shorter trips. Okay, they are retaining the sentiments of travel for the customers, saying that, hey, we understand you want to travel. Why don't we travel for now to a place where you have something interesting? I noticed another thing. They use smart intelligence technology and local awareness to share what's happening in those cities. For instance, if you're in Delhi, you may want to travel to Jaipur or Goa, and they connect by saying, hey, something special, a local festival is also happening over there. Why don't we think about that? So I think that is pretty interesting. I've seen personally, I have spoken to a bunch of people. In fact, people around me, they come and ask me about options for travel and take my ideas and over there. And I've seen that this is what they get from carriers and partners as an alternate suggestion to take that forward. And that is catching up. Huh? Short trips over the long weekend, 3 days and above, are anyways a trend for the past 2 years. But now on top of it, they need to be a little smart using technology and figuring it out what is happening in local market, suggest a trip that makes sense for them. And what they do is they don't cancel the trips. They say, okay, fine, what you do, we can postpone your trip for now, travel to a short place, which is closer by, have fun, come back, and you retain the sentiment of travel, which is very, very positive right now.
People are asking for advice on ChatGPT and such as well, asking for artificial intelligence in these times. But we've got Mr. Sharma with us as well. So, Mr. Sharma, I'm sure you must be getting asked because you're looking at weather conditions all over the country. what are the safest places? And we're running out of time, so if we could get it from you in these times where we have all these weekends coming up, which, according to you, are the safest places to make a holiday plan in?
Vikram, not the hills. Okay,
Not the hills.
across, not the hills. For the obvious reasons, you see,
Yes.
whether monsoon or other season, and particularly in the monsoon, giving a forecast for more than 1 week or so, the reliability goes down. I'm telling you. Okay, it is not with degree of confidence goes low the moment you exceed 1 week, and all these plans for the hills and all. If it is done at the last minute, then the forecast is possible. Then the person knows that how is it going to be the next weekend. But then if it is planned in advance, then the surety of weather that it's not going to impact, no. And in this season, I will advise even for the coming days also for the states of Himachal, Uttarakhand, and even for that matter Jammu Kashmir, we must take a break. Do not venture. Unnecessarily getting stuck doesn't stand gains any gains to us. The weather conditions are going to be a little crucial in the initial phase. For I will say first week of July, I will not advise. Safer places, obviously, which are able to absorb the impact of sensitive and high impact weather event. Okay, those are the places. We have plenty of them. In the plains are there, along the coastline is there, sea coast is there. These are the places where one doesn't find a great amount of difficulty. No,
That's true.
but then hills, it becomes, I have experienced ourselves also. Okay,
Yes.
you are on the road,
Yes.
when without any choice of going ahead or back, you're just stuck on the road.
That's true.
So that's a
It
difficulty.
is
So,
very
right.
tricky right now to go to the hills for sure. That's something that you need to reconsider if you have those kind of holiday plans. That's sage advice. And indeed, we're looking at this surprise turnaround in weather conditions across the country because we were struggling as far as the onset of the monsoon is concerned. It was as delayed as it was. Heat conditions were coming in. So perhaps because of the heat conditions, many people planned for the hills. And now this is the situation that we have at hand. But one has to be dynamic. One has to adapt. The industry does. And so do travelers. Mr. Sharma, Mr. Himank Tripathy, and Mr. Rakesh Rana, great to get in your perspective on the holiday season and the holiday economy this monsoon. Meanwhile, we're watching